The Young and the Sightless. Episode 5. When we last left the residents of this picturesque town, drama was heightened following the henchman's nefarious actions in the Cupojo coffee shop. The urn of extra bold coffee had been spiked with the delayed reaction inhibition reduction potion, as concocted following the unwitting assistance of Mystic Moonlight and the obscure powders and herbs from her lotions and potions new age shop.
Don't worry, I only have the most honorable of intentions. A friend of mine has been having trouble feeling the attraction he once felt for his wife, and he wants to take the potion himself. He was just too shy and embarrassed to come here to get the ingredients, so I offered to do it for him.
The henchman served certain of the women, some chosen on purpose and some chosen randomly, coffee from this urn. Based on discussions the mastermind from the isolated cabin in the woods had with Mystic Moonlight, when he brazenly lied to her about the intent behind the use of this potion, we learned that in addition to the significant reduction of one's inhibitions, other effects of this brew include the potential of altering what physical characteristics someone finds appealing in a prospective partner, and also that some individuals may experience a moderate amount of short-term memory loss, particularly after the first time this potion is ingested.
Be sure to also let your friend know that there can be a delay of sometimes multiple hours before the full effects are felt. Also, not everyone reacts exactly the same way after taking this potion. Lastly, you should mention to your friend that some people experience a mild amount of memory loss, especially after the first time this potent brew is used.
One of the final images from the last episode was that of Lupita and Andrea offering their IDs as requested by Dale 1982, moonlighting as the doorman at the Copperfield Titty Bar.
Good evening, Melodies. Let's see some IDs, yeah?
The door was then shown opening, as loud, raucous music teased at the wild antics about to unfold over the coming hours. This scene then fades out, with the words earlier that evening being displayed in center screen.
The following montage of sights and sounds are then shown in rapid succession.
Everybody here get it out of control.
In the home she shares with her strict disciplinarian father, the town preacher, man of God, Radiant Allure first applies bright red lipstick, then she is shown lifting a Bible out of the way in the night table drawer, allowing her to reach into a hidden box underneath in order to extract several condoms she slips into her skin-tight jeans. Nick, the crotchety Democratic town mayor, is shown getting into the back of his chauffeured town car. It proceeds the short distance along Main Street, from City Hall over to pause in front of the courthouse, where Judge TB65 is shown reaching for the door handle of the waiting vehicle. Jennifer 82 is seen straightening things up in the Lazy Bones massage clinic before closing it for the night. Her face looks flushed as she uses a paper to fan herself. Tom from Charlotte, Tennessee, the blind curmudgeon first adjusts his polka dot bow tie, then snaps his red suspenders before walking toward his front door. A sleek black limousine with heavily tinted windows is slowly cruising a side street on the edge of town. Mr. Mumbles, a.k.a. blind guy, and no-nose Mater Vader are shown in the rear seat. The car comes to a stop, the door opens and a long, sexy leg is shown as No Eyes Nikki Palm enters and settles on the opposite seat. The domestic staff at the Southern Drawl Cat House are shown changing linens, fluffing pillows and generally getting the various theme rooms ready for another night of fun and frolic. While anticipating welcoming several of the town regulars, little does the staff know that certain visitors later that evening will be most unexpected.
Number of new applications for unemployment compensation has been declining due to the slowing economy, but not as much.
A cutaway shot is shown of the orange circle, bored almost to tears in another monotonous business meeting presentation he finds himself attending out of town. Meanwhile, his young wife, the luscious Cindy B., is shown in front of her wide-open closet doors, trying on and discarding various potential outfit choices including increasingly short skirts and revealing tops. The henchman is walking away from the now-closed coffee shop, knapsack casually draped over one shoulder. The montage clip fades and the scene returns to the Copperfield Titty Bar with the camera now panning the large interior space.
The viewers are first shown an impressive stage area, complete with several shimmering silver stripper poles. There are also 2 catwalks which extend through several of the tables of patrons. Each of the catwalks has neon-lit railings and plexiglass half walls. An opulent bar extends the full length of one wall, with a black granite top polished to a reflective finish. Row upon row of expensive wine and liquor bottles are shown along with spigots tapped from large kegs of beer stored in a climate-controlled room just off the industrial kitchen. Various strobe lights and spotlights provide a shimmery, dreamlike illumination, accentuated by several strategically placed medium-sized vats of dry ice emitting tendrils of colored smoke wafting lazily through the large warehouse-like open space. In addition to the scattered tables in the main area in front of the stage, there are also several more private booths along the edges of the large room as well as certain more private areas, raised varying numbers of steps and offering greater seclusion because of half walls on either side of the plush chairs. The camera next takes a voyeuristic peek behind the curtain into the ornate dressing rooms and backstage area where racks of costumes and makeup tables await the performers. The next zoomed image is that of several stacks of paper thin white, baby blue, hot pink and other pastel-colored t-shirts and tank tops boldly sporting the not-so-subtle logo for the Copperfield. Many of the regulars know that most of the ladies of the evening from the Southern Drawl Cat House moonlight at the strip club since some bumping and grinding not to mention merciless teasing in one location tends to translate into increased business at the other establishment, just across the street, later that evening. What the regulars aren't expecting, though, are various of the more straight-laced town ladies who may rather surprisingly take to the stage tonight. When later questioned as to their motivation, some will describe a vague recollection of having simply felt a compelling magnetism to the stage, with their pulses pounding and their temperatures rising as their more ordinary reserved nature and sense of restraint simply melted away. As the music pulses through the large space, the camera shows everyone's old pal Casey as well as the always cheerful Roach Dude as 2 of the bartenders, along with several of the barmaids moonlighting from the Double Gulp Saloon including Saucy Sarah Bell, Classy Colleen and Luscious Liz 7. The image fades to black and the words earlier that evening are shown. The camera displays a dark hallway, where male footsteps are heard. A sign up ahead indicates washrooms, but the unidentified man turns at the last second and slips open a door on the right marked employees only. He turns on a flashlight and pans around the confined space. Shelves of kitchen supplies are shown, as well as cases of empty wine bottles. The beam settles on an oversized keg of beer which is currently tapped through a long hose to one of the spigots at the bar. He slips off his knapsack, extracting the stainless steel thermos and placing it on a shelf at chest height. The man then grips the small flashlight in his teeth and uses both hands to unscrew the lid of the oversized keg. He shifts it several inches to the side, careful to make as little noise as possible. He then unscrews the top of the thermos and empties the contents into the keg, through the small opening he just created. Laughing softly to himself, he screws the lid back on, puts the now empty thermos back in his knapsack, extinguishes his flashlight, listens for foot traffic in the hallway, quietly opens the door and exits the storage room undetected.
Returning to present time, the camera next cuts to the dressing room area behind the main stage. One woman, with long flowing curly blonde hair, is shown from behind seated and reaching for her cosmetics bag, extracting a tube of vibrant cherry red lipstick. A door opens off camera and footsteps of an as yet unseen woman are heard approaching. Having heard the door opening to her right, the seated woman turns in that direction.
You? What are you doing here?
The camera remains focused on the seated woman while the second lady pauses just off camera.
Me? What about you? I never thought you would be caught dead in a place like this, let alone sitting at a performer's table backstage and applying makeup.
I don't know. I've just had this strange sensation for the past several hours. I can't really explain it, but I just feel like I want to do something wild and crazy. Something completely out of character.
I get what you mean. I've been feeling just like that myself too, and it sort of came over me fairly suddenly, just in the last hour or so.
I don't know if there's a full moon today or what's going on, but some of those guys out there are going to get an awful lot more than they ever expected tonight.
This video is
18 fucking motherfucking plus. Yes, that's why I'm doing all this cussing and swearing, because
I gave the warning. Yeah, I ain't listening, right? But I gave the motherfucking warning.
The camera image fades from backstage and next lingers suggestively from a distance on an unidentified duo of topless dancers writhing together in simulated ecstasy as graceful legs shimmer with baby oil and long wavy hair cascades suggestively over delicate bronzed shoulders. In another corner, on a slightly elevated circular stage, a solo dancer is shown from behind, hips swaying luridly from side to side as she lets one manicured hand slide provocatively up and down the shimmering pole she is gripping.
Damn. It's been a long time coming. I really missed you. Yeah? You missed me too? Okay then. Can I taste you? Yeah, baby, you can watch. Do you like that? Yeah, my lips on you? What? Hold on. Let me make it real wet.
Complete with music and the din of conversation in the background, the image next shifts to focus on several clusters of patrons gathered in different areas throughout the large space. At one table, just to the left of center stage, after sipping on his Perrier water with a twist of lemon, Jonathan is shown talking animatedly with Brandon, Nick and TB65.
Do you guys realize that because of Trump Care, these performers will be losing certain mandatory health benefits? Not to mention that rumor has it part of the proposed tax plan will limit their potential of making contributions to either a Roth IRA or a 401k. And while it's fine for Trump to propose increasing the basic deduction, I'm sure some of these dancers would derive a greater benefit if more quality, affordable child care spots were made available.
At this, his other three companions roll their eyes and each reach for their drinks. With salacious thoughts on his mind, Mayor Nick reaches into his wallet and begins waving a bill over his head.
No more G-string. No more G-string. They call this damn place the couple field. Well, let me hold up this $20. And we'll see if I can get one of these dancers to come over and sit on old Save Nick's lap.
Amused by this display, Brandon turns toward the mayor.
Yeah, that's true. With your silvery white hair, beard, and mustache, you have been referred to several times of looking a fair bit like Santa Claus, haven't you?
Damn right, sonny boy. If some hot little number nearby wants to lavish me with some proper attention, I'd be more than happy to show them my North Pole later, over the southern drawl.
Trying to calm the situation, Judge TB65 reaches over and pats Nick on his back.
Mr. Mayor, maybe you should ease up a bit on that beer?
Don't get that black dress of yours in a bloody one, Your Honor.
That's a black robe, and not a dress. You cantankerous old coot, and I left it at the car house.
Well, regardless of what you're wearing, maybe you should hold up a $20 just like me. And when some hot piece of ass wiggles her way over here, she may ask you whether that's a gavel in your pocket, or if you're happy to see her. Hee.
Blame the system. Bunch of hypocrites.
The camera next shifts to another table, about a dozen feet away. Sheriff Gus 59 is enjoying a Long Island iced tea on a rare night off while Paul 69, Private Tai and D'Angelito are all drinking beer. Setting his beer down a bit too heavily, Private Tai turns to his companions.
I don't know if any of you guys feel like me, but I haven't been able to spend time with my girlfriend in weeks, and it feels like I've got even more testosterone dripping from my ears than usual.
Paul 69 nods his head in agreement.
Well, with the seductive music, those yummy barmaids repeatedly parading by, not to mention the bumping and grinding going on only a few dozen feet away. Yeah, I must admit that my pump is fairly well primed myself.
Hell. And to make matters even worse, I've heard rumors that there's supposed to be some sort of open invitational wear t-shirt contest tonight.
All I can say is that for those of us who can see it all, or not very well, I hope the announcer does a good job of describing every clingy, slippery, wet, revealing detail.
Draining his third beer, Private Tai excitedly licks his lips.
Hopefully some of the contestants will circulate out into the audience to offer some of us a little up-close and personal inspection time. Yes, the same way some of the regular dancers do.
I'm your man.
The image then pans over to one secluded corner booth, raised by several steps. Seated together are Guide Dog Master, Big Southern, Clinton and D.A. Jones. After glancing left and right, Clinton leans forward.
So, who do you guys think popped that lowlife candy won?
D.A. Jones sets down his glass.
The more important question is whether he talked or not.
From what I've heard, that house was torched to the ground. Apparently someone was out walking their dog about a quarter mile away that night, and they swore they heard what sounded like blood-curdling screams off in the distance. So, he probably spilled his guts, maybe in more ways than one. I'll check with some of my connections, and see if I can't find out if any rival gang or even the mob may be trying to muscle in on this territory.
Hey, I'm your man.
Colleen, Sarah Bell and Liz Severn are intermittently shown circulating, carrying either a tray of beer glasses balanced on one scantily clad shoulder, or gripping one pitcher of beer in each hand as they approach specific tables, bending seductively to drop off their welcome cargo and half-heartedly fending off mild ogling and groping in the process. In a semi-private area, in a dimly lit corner, the henchman, with his back to the camera, slips into a small booth, carefully resting his knapsack at his feet. His seated companion, face hidden by shadows, reaches for the bowl of nuts on the table.
So, were you successful?
Yes. The second package has been delivered about an hour ago.
Excellent. It will soon be time to watch the temperature tick up several notches in this quaint little town.
Shifting a little uncomfortably in his chair, the henchman clears his throat.
You know, I did a little more research on other possible side effects of this potion.
Oh. You did you?
Whoa, wait, bloody hell. All I want to say is that, well, you know that a primary intended effect is to decrease inhibition and increase libido, right?
Precisely.
That's fine, as far as the women who received cups of the spiked extra bold coffee. But for the guys who order beer, you realize that alcohol consumption, plus decreased inhibitions, plus increased testosterone, not to mention raging hormones, could make for a rather volatile and explosive combination.
Are you questioning me? Really?
God damn it! Stop waving that around, will you? Put the piece away before someone sees it. I was just thinking.
I do the fucking thinking around here, remember that?
Okay. You're the boss. Of course, whatever you think best is perfectly, absolutely, definitely, undoubtedly cool with me.
That's better. And to answer your concern, well, we will just have to wait and see how things play out, now won't we?
Q, Julio, Fitness Guy and Philip from Australia are next shown, hunched together at a small table several rows back and to the right of the stage. All are drinking beer, with one pitcher empty already and another nearly done. Setting his mug down, Julio directs his attention toward Q.
So, just between us, how's that whole talking down to blind women in this town as a from being inferior, helpless bitches and holes with basically no standards going for you? I've been noticing you've been a bit more toned down with some of your comments lately.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't want to be stepping down to chase too hard after no blind pussy. Since I'm so fly, and I already get plenty of cider bitches throwing themselves at me.
Hey man, you know, I do my whole Latino swat thing with my singing and my accent, but it's just for my own entertainment. At least that's what I like to say when it ain't working so hot for me. Which, come to think of it, is pretty much all the time.
Belching loudly, Fitness Guy decides to join the conversation.
Oh, I pull all kinds of shit like that around here too. I purposely act like a troll, and I try to stir up conflict and different discussions around town. But then when anyone calls me out on it, I don't really have much of a reply. Fuck. This cold sucks.
Sporting a wide grin, Q shakes his head.
Well, either of you could always threaten to leave this town. Maybe that might get you a little extra attention to be looking for.
Know it, my brother. I already done pulled that crap once before, and fuck me. I just did it again for the second time. But we all know I came right back the very next day, cursing everyone out just like always.
I don't care what they say about doing the same fucking thing over and over and expecting a different result, being the definition of insanity. I'm sure if we keep at it with the whole talking down to everyone, bragging about ourselves and talking shit about the very women we're hoping to get with, one of these days it's all gonna work out big time.
Slamming down his now empty glass, Philip from Australia pulls out several bills from his wallet.
You'll know it, mates.
I think it's time we got one of them Sheilas strutting around showing off most of what God gave them to bring us over another pitcher of this here fine beer.
I know men. I know what a real man wants. I know your desires. I know your secrets. I know your innermost fantasies. I know you want to call me. Just do it. Call me now, and let me make you feel like a real man. Call toll-free, adults only.
The camera next shifts to a dimly lit VIP room in a second-floor balcony-type area. One wall of glass overlooks the main stage and clusters of tables from above. 2 floor-to-ceiling poles reflect flickering camera light near the center of the partly soundproofed room. Separate music, different from that which is being played in the main stage area, is issuing forth from discrete speakers built into the walls. A richly appointed bar sits in one corner, topped with a sterling silver ice bucket and a 3/4 full Magnum bottle of champagne. Lupita, in tight jeans and a low-cut red top, and Andrea, in a short patterned summer dress with a plunging neckline, are seated side by side in separate oversized plush armchairs, each with a tall champagne flute on discrete end tables at their elbows. Lupita reaches for her glass.
This should be fun. I'm anxious to check out the bodies of some of the performers here, so that we can see if they are built all that differently to the two of us.
Settling back in her chair, Andrea makes herself a little more comfortable.
I agree. I want to get a good feel for what all the fuss is about with some of the guys who come here regularly in order to drool over some of these dancers.
Well, it's a good thing your folks are rich. This VIP room with all the extras is costing us a pretty penny tonight.
I am lucky, aren't I? Who would have thought that a tiny fraction of the profits from my family's nationwide chain of all vegetable sandwich shops would be financing an outing like tonight?
It should be extra interesting today. Like we discussed with one of the floor managers when we got here, apparently in addition to the regular dancers, there's supposed to be some sort of amateur contest, with several different categories going on tonight too.
I know. So in addition to us asking to have several randomly selected dancers sent out for our tactile investigation, management is supposed to check with the amateur performers to see if a few of them may want to earn some extra cash by coming up here and strutting their stuff for us as well.
A discreet knock at the door is then heard. Opening it, Sarah Bell steps in.
Hello, ladies. I was told I could earn some extra money tonight by simply letting both of you get a good feel for my body type.
Andrea crosses her legs and licks her lips.
That's right. Hopefully this doesn't sound too weird, but you know, since neither of us has ever been able to see, it's just hard for us to picture what different body types certain women may have, compared with ours.
No problem. I'll let you check me out in a minute, but I'll describe myself first. You may know that I normally work over at Roman's Double Cup Saloons, and I think I've waited on each of you before. I just happened to be moonlighting here tonight, when the manager approached me with this unusual offer. Anyway, I'm a tiny little thing, standing only 4 feet 8 inches tall. As you will soon discover, I'm slim but with a nice 34-24-34 figure. I've got long dark slightly wavy hair that goes all the way down to my cute round butt.
Following this rather enticing description, Sarah Bell, wearing her form-fitting short skirt and low-cut frilly top, stands mere inches in front of Andrea, who lets her hands roam lingeringly from head to toe. Sarah Bell then steps over in front of Lupita, who conducts a similar detailed sensory exploration. Some moments later, a discreet knock is again heard, just before the door inches partly open.
Wow.
Thick Texas girl enters the room but realizes that high-paying customers seem occupied.
That feels nice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lupita sets down her champagne glass.
That's okay. We were just finishing up, and Sarah Belle was about to head back downstairs.
Smiling widely, thick Texas girl steps further into the room.
Ah, well then, consider that good timing on my part.
Sarah Belle exits and a different song begins to play through the room's speakers. The next scene is rather different from Andrea and Lupita's first encounter. Instead of the audience hearing any additional conversation, the focus is on the music as well as the rather provocative imagery. The women are seen laughing as the Texas girl suggests both Andrea and
Come
Lupita
on,
get up on their
ladies,
feet.
Get up and join me.
While Sarah Belle was indeed petite and rather slim, the current object of Andrea and Lupita's joint explorations is more voluptuously curvy. As the music continues to play, the viewers are treated to the sight of all three women dancing closely together, with thick Texas girl sandwiched between Andrea and Lupita, each of whom are roaming their hands tantalizingly slowly over the former's gyrating body. After several moments, simultaneous to the music decreasing in volume, the scene fades to black.
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
The camera next cuts back to the main stage, where the evening's master of ceremonies reaches for the microphone.
Ladies and hello. Hello? God damn it, Paul. I thought you fixed the stupid motherfucking piece of crap. Sorry about that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Copperfield Titty Bar's first ever open invitational amateur wet t-shirt contest. I will be your host for this evening, the man, the myth, the legend, the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of gun. The most electrifying synthesized voice in the young and the sightless, serialized audio drama, Big Jack 1974. Tonight, in addition to our regular, sumptuous and scintillating, scantily clad, also SSEXY strippers, the Copperfield is proud to bring to you, not one but two, open invitational, amateur wet t-shirt contests. For those craving, ladies of a finer vintage with a little more experience under their belts, we will kick off tonight's festivities with a very special milk category. The second amateur wet t-shirt contest of the evening will include a tantalizing selection of some of the younger and tastier town ladies, including many you may have never pictured other than in your wildest imagination or most lure fantasies, strutting their stuff in a venue such as this.
At these twin announcements, wild applause, hoots, hollers and catcalls issue loudly from the now-capacity crowd. The camera next shows an area near the right edge of the stage which will represent the preparation zone. It consists of an inflatable kids' swimming pool along with several tables filled with pitchers of ice-cold water. The camera next zooms back in on the face of Big Jack 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will first describe the basic guidelines on how the contests will proceed. The temperatures of many of you audience members are sure to rise, as each lovely lady will stand at the center of the small pool to my left, wearing nothing but their panties, thong or G-string of choice, as well as either a tight t-shirt or clingy tank top. Next, two exceedingly lucky volunteers will use several pitchers of ice water to wet down each one of these fiery vixens.
Me?
Hey!
Hey,
Jack.
I want to volunteer.
Over here.
I'll do it.
You guys.
My wife's
out of town.
Mine. Please.
Over here.
Pick me.
Hey,
Over here.
fuckface.
God damn it.
Gentlemen, please, calm down. 2 of the male listeners who comment on this episode will be chosen randomly for these highly sought-after positions. In the approximately 1 to 2 minutes that follows, each contestant being splashed with icy water, while I give you a teasing description of each of the competitors, and while the song specifically chosen for them plays in the background, each contestant will strut their step back and forth along the length of the stage, up and down both of the catwalks extending out into the audience area, and if some of them are feeling particularly naughty, several of the stripper poles are available for any shaking, twirling, or gyrating in which they may be inclined to engage. As long as my heart holds out, I will also do my best to describe the highlights as they happen, for those of you who can't see well enough to fully appreciate all the glorious action soon to be unfolding on this very stage. Your applause and encouragement is most welcome, but let's all try to maintain an appropriate level of restraint and respectability. There will be voting at the end of the evening for winners in their respective categories, as well as trophy presentations for Miss Copperfield and Miss Milk Copperfield 2017. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin tonight's festivities with a very warm round of applause for the first contestant in the MILF category.
And with this, the camera fades to black and the credits roll. Tune in next time as you join this diverse cast of characters in the next episode of The Young and the Sightless. In the all-new, must-listen, audio-only, serialized drama for their nightly exploits, where nothing is seen and everything goes.